What's up guys, Lee Martin here. Every NCAA basketball season, there is at least one major upset that occurs. And this 2019 to 2020 season has been filled with numerous major upsets. Since March Madness is creeping up behind us, we're gonna count down the top 5 biggest upsets of the season between the unranked and the top 5 ranked teams. But real quick, click that bell button and subscribe to our channel to receive all information regarding your sports betting needs. To start off all the big upsets of the season, we're going to start our countdown with number 5 as we watch the Maryland Terrapins take the road to Penn State. Although Maryland was ranked number 4 overall, Penn State was favored between 1.5 to 2 points as home chalk. Penn State came out and finished the game with 10 blocks, 10 steals, and 20 forced turnovers. Their defense was so strong that night that they managed to hold the Terrapins 19 for 57 in shooting. Penn State coach Patrick Chambers even stated that he witnessed one of the best defenses from the Nittany Lions that night. Throughout the entire game, Penn State managed to hold the lead for except only 1 minute and 54 seconds in the beginning of the first half. Mike Watkins led the team with 15 points and 11 rebounds, followed by Lamar Stevens with 15 points and 10 rebounds. In the first 10 minutes of the game alone, Penn State forced 12 turnovers and managed a 40-30 lead at the half after Myron Jones hit a buzzer-beating three-pointer. Maryland was hoping this game would make them 11-0, since that hasn't happened since 1996. Instead, Maryland became the 5th top 5 ranked team to lose to an unranked team during this season. Anthony Cowan Jr. managed 14 points overall for the Terrapins, including a three-pointer midway through the second half to bring Maryland right behind Penn State at 52-50. With 6 seconds left of the game, Cowan Jr. managed to make 2 free throws, but it was not enough to hold back the Nittany Lions. The Nittany Lions were just too tough and could not be tamed, as Penn State won the game 76-69. Coach Patrick Chambers stated in an interview with Associated Press, "What a home court advantage we had tonight. There were situations where I couldn't hear in the huddles. I couldn't hear our guys on the bench. There was so much energy in the stands throughout the entire duration of the game. At the end buzzer, all of Penn State's fans swarmed the court as their unranked team had just beaten number 4 Maryland, making this a moment not to forget."
Takes down number 4.
For number 4 of our countdown, we're heading to the Maui Invitational Tournament in Hawaii with the Michigan State Spartans versus the Virginia Tech Hokies. I do have to point out that Michigan State had a rough start of the season. The Spartans were without their starting guard Joshua Langford due to a foot injury right before their first game. A week after that, Spartans guard Cassius Winston lost his brother in a horrific train accident. Throughout the whole game versus Virginia Tech, Winston appeared down and tired. I can only imagine how he felt during that game with all that mental stress on his mind. You knew his mind was clouded since he was limited to game time due to fouls and also only managed 7 points during the game, completing only 2 of his 8 attempts. Now compare that to Winston's average of about 19 points per game. Since Winston's game was off, Aaron Henry stepped up and led the points for Michigan State with 18 points. However, that still wasn't enough to keep the Hokies away from the lead. Virginia Tech really brought out the pressure, scoring 12 points off of 11 turnovers right before halftime. Landers Nolley II managed himself a total of 22 points for Virginia Tech with 5 assists. This was a huge night for the Hokies because this was the first time since 1982 that Virginia Tech started the season 5-0, and that game made them 6-0. Let's make our way to number 3 for the 3rd biggest upset of the season at the Jimmy V Classic. Soon after securing a top-ranked spot, the Louisville Cardinals became the 4th top-ranked team to lose to an unranked team. After suffering a drastic loss of 70-57 against the Texas Tech Red Raiders, this game alone easily became the Cardinals' worst games played of the season. The team had a 34% field goal rate, and their top scorer, Jordan Nwora, only had 14 points throughout the whole game, completing only 4 out of his 16 shots. In many interviews, it was said that Louisville's offense looked lethargic throughout the game. Although the Cardinals did look tired, they did manage to keep a close game to keep us on our toes. Player highlight for this game would have to be focused on David Moretti. To help keep the lead for the Red Raiders, Moretti hit consecutive 3-pointers midway through the second half that were assisted by Chris Clark and Kyler Edwards. Moretti gave Texas Tech a comfortable 11-point lead after those three-pointers, and continued to add to the score by making all 8 of his free throws. To top off and secure the game, Moretti assists TJ Holyfield for a beautiful three-pointer. Cardinals' David Johnson managed a last-minute layup, but it was not enough to grab that W. During those last 90 seconds of the game, Louisville head coach Chris Mack was spewing frustration and got whistled for a technical. You know this is a truly memorable moment when the entire Texas Tech fan base tells the refs to move the ropes so they can storm the court. Even Texas Tech guard Avery Benson tried to crowd surf. Now it's time for number 2 of our countdown. We're going to check out Rupp Arena, where we saw the Kentucky Wildcats host the Evansville Purple Aces as 25-point favorites. This game is considered one of the top upsets for me, not only because it was a close game throughout the entire duration, but because an underdog like Evansville came out prepared for exactly what Kentucky had to bring to the table. The Wildcats only held the lead briefly in the beginning of the first half, while the Purple Aces took over and kept a close lead throughout the whole game. Towards the end of the second half, Kentucky was creeping behind Evansville as Tyrese Maxey made a layup to bring Kentucky to 64-65, 1 point behind the Purple Aces, as Kentucky had full hope that they could still win this game. Sam Cunliffe made 2 free throws, bringing the Purple Aces to a satisfying win of 67-64. 2 key players that stood out throughout the entire game were definitely Sam Cunliffe and KJ Riley. Cunliffe alone scored 17 points, making 6 out of his 13 field goals at 46.2%. Riley did his part by scoring 18 points, making 4 out of his 8 field goals. Evansville's forward, DeAndre Williams, stated in an interview, "To be here is a dream come true. We took advantage and we made history." History was definitely made that day as Kentucky was 39-0 at home versus an unranked non-conference team, making this Evansville's first road win over an Associated Press ranked team. Finally, the number 1 major upset we're going to check out, which I personally think was the biggest upset of the season, is Duke versus the Stephen F. Austin Lumberjacks. The Lumberjacks, as an unranked team, traveled to Cameron Indoor Stadium as 28-point underdogs. With 30 seconds left in the second half, Trey Jones made 2 free throws, giving the Devils the lead of 81-79. Luckily, with 19 seconds left in the second half, Gavin Kensmill made a layup assisted by Kevon Harris to tie and take the game into overtime. Late into overtime, Duke had several moments to take the lead. Trey Jones missed a jumper, followed by Wendell Moore Jr. with a failed offensive rebound. As Duke's Matthew Hurt tried to take over the ball, Gavin Kensmill stole and assisted Nathan Bain for a buzzer-beating layup to win the game 85-83. It has been almost 20 years since a non-Atlantic Coast Conference school has beaten Duke at Cameron. The Stephen F. Austin Lumberjacks created the biggest moment in the NCAA history that night, as Duke's 150-game home court win streak was completely torn to bits. Well guys, those are my top 5 biggest upsets of the 2019 to 2020 NCAA season between the top 5 ranked and unranked teams. To stay updated with all your sports betting needs, head on over to sportsbookreview.com. Be sure to give us a like and subscribe to our channel to stay in the loop with all your sports betting content. Like always, I thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Lee Martin, and I hope to see you guys again soon.